was almost wondering if, like, well, Perks is playing melee mids.
Yeah.
Like, he definitely could smash a Cassidy lane if he's feeling up to it, but they're just saying, you know what? We are not taking that risk. We want this win. We will just take our path of least resistance into the main event of the World Championships. No Man's Cassidy, get it out of there.
I was going to say, No Man's Cassidy is really good, and it's actually been 100% banned against him in this tournament so far. Not all of it is first ban blue side, but I feel like, you know, there hasn't been a ton of stuff that Unicorns of Love has shown a success on. And so, you know, even though it hasn't been played yet, you keep removing the obvious ones and take it from there. You know, Unicorns of Love are having a really tough go of it. They were, for a period of time, one of these standout teams in play-ins and from the minor regions. And it feels like this was a tough group, to be fair.
Yes.
I mean, TCL has been incredible. Japan has been leveling up year after year after year to the point where now they might be the strongest of the minor regions. But it does feel a little sad to see what had been such a staple potentially end up winless in play-ins.
Yeah, for sure. I guess we'll have to see what happens here. As you said, if they win, there's more games. If not, we're done.
Well, if they win, too, to be fair, their hopes are still alive.
Also true.
They are, I was taking the C9 angle, but if they win, actually, this is a huge game for them. They are able to play a tiebreaker against Beyond Gaming, who don't look that incredible, to be fair. So there is a world where they can bounce back and end up taking it.
Yep, so we'll recap the draft real quick. With Cassidy, we mentioned Lucian continuing to get some attention here in draft. Aurelio on the C9 side again, continuing to respect the power of potentially Boss and maybe No Man's even as well. Kiana, Rise, and Jarvan all getting taken out there as MF continue to be first pick, and that is a Senna selected there.
I believe that is the first Senna of the tournament. I don't think I've seen it anywhere else. So I'm curious what they're going to do with it. If there is some unique pairing that they specifically want Senna with, she does tend to enable some tricky stuff in the bot lane. If it's fasting Senna or not, we'll have to see.
Could even enable Lee Sin. That is a combination from
Lee Sin Senna does
a while
exist.
back. It is a thing. Whether it'll be a thing this game or not, I'm going to say I doubt it, but you never know. MF LeBlanc, there was a very nice start here. Perks is ready to play. He's off Silas duty. He's, you know, I guess maybe unlocked the ability to draft LeBlanc here.
I mean, the LeBlanc also makes the early Cassidy ban make even more sense. It is a matchup that, you know, LeBlanc has some power in early, but then Cassidy starts to really outscale it. So going up against No Man's, if you want to early pick the LeBlanc and kind of skill check him, because LeBlanc is one of these blindable champions for the most part, that even if you pick like a Lissandra counter, which we saw earlier in the day, we did see Lissandra get a solo kill with Electrocute as the rune choice, but you know, it's a skill matchup for the most part. So early on, taking LeBlanc, saying, No Man's, what do you have? You have not been having a great tournament. I'm going to pick one of my signature champions. Do something about it.
And looks like Silas is the answer, which is definitely not something to, you know, super challenge in lane. But again, if you can get out and affect the map, Silas is so good when he's unlocked from the mid lane and able to play in skirmishes or even bigger fights, you know, in kind of the early stages of the mid game. Xin Zhao also for Lava. I believe his first look on this champion this tournament, obviously has played it plenty of times before in his career. But looks like the bottom lane's going to finally eat some bans. This is maybe going to be Vulcan's first game, not on Leona. I don't think he's played it literally every game, but it might be.
Three for three on Leona.
All right, never mind. I did have that right. So Rakan going to get taken out there and maybe lose the Leo as well.
We'll see what they will ban. I mean, it is seemingly matched positions depending on what you end up doing with this Senna.
Yep.
But right now it's looking like marksman, mid, and jungle. So you will see these kind of bans where, all right, well, you get rid of the Rakan, even though Vulcan hasn't played it. We have seen him play it, and I wonder what they're setting up potentially. I assume they'll go support last pick top for the side of Unicorns of Love, and so that's why you see the bot lane focused on the bans. And for C9, a little surprised to see the Jace ban in that sense. I mean, Boss has played it, I believe, this tournament. Yeah, he's got the one game on it, so I can see them just trying to get rid of some annoying, strong champions, but I expect Boss to be getting the counter pick here.
All right, well, Leona is actually going to get banned, so Vulcan going to have to show us a new champion. They could also have taken it there as well. It's pretty good into the MF, but maybe they have other plans here. Galio, the other ban there, which I assume is mostly a support ban, actually, so...
Most likely. Potentially don't want to have to deal with a Galio Senna just having a lot of pushing power that can be annoying. Also, if you're talking about topside counter pick, maybe there is a Galio comp like Camille Galio and you're trying to break some of that stuff up. I will also say, with the Silas locked in, it does make the Amumu pick kind of awkward for the side of C9, so the support pinch coming in is more difficult for them to deal with, and it's actually the early Scion.
Yeah, just blinding Scion saying, what do you have, Fudge?
Well, so you say Fudge, but bot lane Senna Scion, you can run that.
True.
I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff you can do with Senna. She makes the draft a little bit unpredictable, and we did see that C9 actually, you know, has had some wrenches thrown at them in draft phases, like having the Lilia flex from jungle to top yesterday, and the build path adaptations that came in from Fudge. So they're a team that, you know, they can throw some curveballs at you, but they can also hit the curveballs when you pitch it at them.
Yeah, and this is quite the potential answer if that is the matchup in top lane. You know, Scion pretty self-sufficient, pretty safe, pretty blindable in a lot of situations, but Gangplank's quite the beatdown. Even if the lane, you know, goes okay, Gangplank's probably going to be farming up a storm, and I would be terrified to see Fudge's Gangplank make like 10 barrels, and that's what happens though, right? That's how Gangplank works. You have like 25 barrels pop out every time you hit E, and then everyone explodes.
Yeah. I think the Gangplank pick is interesting. I like it, given that you, like I said, don't know where the Scion's going, and Boss has not had a great tournament so far necessarily, so it's a little bit of a call-out saying, like, I'm going to pick a scaling champion that's decent in lane and, you know, try and punish it, especially if the Scion is actually going top. It's not the roughest lane phase at all for the GP.
This would be so spicy. I don't even know where it's going is the other thing. All right, now I think I have an idea, and I think you are right, Mark. I think it is Senna Scion in the bottom lane. Camille going to be the counter pick there up in top.
So that's why I think the Galio ban made some sense. They had blocked in Camille once before, and there's potentially calling that out. So nice prep there by C9. Unicorns of Love still having some things to throw at C9. That Scion pick ending up going in the bot lane, trying to bait C9, but C9 just go with a safe blindable GP.
Yeah, also, I guess to keep track, Vulcan is actually on Rel this time as the champion again. He's played more than enough times, definitely combines nicely with the my brain, Misfortune. Like you said, with Silas in the mix, Amumu is way worse. It's kind of like giving your opponent, it's like, it always happens. Like, level 4 Amumu always meets level 6 Silas, and it's always a tragedy.
Yeah, I mean, Amumu this tournament has been such a disappointment. He's been the biggest disappointment I've seen since Genshin Impact's first year anniversary rewards.
I don't
if you get the reference, you get the
I don't understand like the details of the reference, but the implication is funny enough. Yeah, I don't need to know.
Amumu has been disappointing is all you need to know. This tournament so far, considering how much hype he got in solo queue and stuff like that. But like you said, not in this game. Passed over, and for understandable reasons. Even if you think Amumu is strong, you don't want to pick it. Even if MF and Amumu is broken, you don't want to play it into Silas as we've seen before. And also, Senna Scion gonna end up being a pretty annoying lane. They have a lot of pushing power and wave clear just with Senna Q through the lane. We'll have to see. I'll look it up if it's E or Q max for if I can find a Senna Scion lane to see which one he ends up going, or we'll just watch and see what he ends up doing with it. But it's a relatively uninteractive lane that's going to be harass focused, I assume.
Yep, and looks like Santos is the one going to be taking the farm at least early on, which you love to see. Does have the Spectral Sickle already built up. And as a reminder, you can chat with us, of course. Get your tweets out there. Maybe we feature on the broadcast. Go ahead and chat with Verizon 5G or chat. We had someone ask what our duo name was yesterday. We still haven't decided. So maybe you have other questions. We're happy to field them.
Yeah.
Do we have answers? Probably not.
I read a couple of them. And none. They were okay ones. Some baking jokes.
I think Baker's Mark was my favorite. But
what is a baker's mark?
I assume it's just a pun on.
Okay, I didn't know if that was like a thing.
No,
like
I
you
don't think
stamp
so.
your pastries with a certain color,
Ooh.
or like like how sometimes you have like those.
Yeah.
Branding irons. I guess I don't know. That sounds like a really like violent term for it. I just don't know what it's called.
Maybe. You know what? That's something I'll have to explore later. But for now, it is going to be Nanasik teaming up with the bottom lane here, starting on the red side.
Yep, no tricky level 1 invades. I would have liked to have seen Unicorns Love maybe find a setup, but their level 1 is just not great for it. A lot of these champions. Unless you're doing something tricky with Scion, which you can do, where you kill yourself on some buff, if they snuck into top side and you steal the blue away from Sin, maybe something like that, but, I can understand not going for it. Worth noting, Scion did take TP, so kind of, you've seen bot laners do that before when it's the AD carry in a matchup that they don't feel particularly threatened by. And like I said, I expect this to be pretty uninteractive of a lane, so it makes sense. Sven early on trying to abuse the range before more levels get put into Scion in the EQ, combined with the Senna Q, starts being able to push the wave extremely quickly.
Yeah, there is some potential, like Scion throws a minion, Senna Qs it, so you can really get the long range snipes happening.
Well, you get the Senna bomb, so you you land your E on the minion, and then you shout the minion at them, and it lands the root.
Oh, that's even better. All right, I'm excited. Whether will we see it come up? Probably not. But if the fact that can happen is already fun.
I mean, yeah, we'll see. There used to be like the zillion bombs, you know, you put the zillion on, you shout it with that. I assume it's the same thing. We'll see.
Alrighty, well, 2v2 right now looking pretty good for Card. Oh my goodness, Vulcan's in there. That's Ignite ready to go, and Argonaut's flashing out of there.
Okay, C9 wanting to get aggro on the bot lane there. Trades Flash Ignite for just Flash. Then might be able to heal up. Now Blabber's on the invade.
Smites for both junglers here, actually, so it might just be a smite fight, but Blabber has all the vision, and Nanasik hitting the kill. Oh, he got it! Blabber just barely missmote that.
Yeah, it's a rough one for Blabber, losing a lot of time now. A good idea, given how much of an advantage Fudge had in the top lane. GP can be notoriously difficult for melee matchups to deal with early on with his trial back. Ooh,
Fudge getting tagged, a bad time. The flash already burnt Fudge. I think he bit it for a little more than he could chew. Indeed he did. Boss is going to grab first blood.
C9 getting a little sloppy in the early game here, and Nanasik punishing them twice in a row. Blabber, like you said, with the miss smite, and then Fudge there with a bit of a greedy recall. I think he should have known that that was warded out, and he should have known that Nanasik was in the area after stealing the red buff. Nicely done there to land that Q and then get the follow with Boss and chase down sequence.
Well, we'll see if we can add to the C9 reaction cam gifts later on. That was definitely a feature of yesterday's games, which was very fun. But I mean, I love the move from Blabber. It is just kind of like, you know, a small little micro mistake to smite, I think, a little bit early. I think it was sub 50 HP. And then Nanasik was able to steal it away. Given how pushed the soul into it, that was the right play for sure. Just, again, you mismanaged your damage a little bit. Fudge is definitely inexcusable in the top lane there. That is not a play you should ever be making, and I don't think it's one he'll make again. Unfortunately, you know, caught on camera. Always unfortunate in a game that potentially qualifies you to the next portion of the World Championship.
Yeah. So, not what you want to see for a start for C9. Not the end of the world either, but this is one of the win conditions that Unicorns Love wants to turn on for Boss here. He does like to play a lot of carry champions, and if the Camille gets snowballing, GP is a champion that can get pretty exploitable. And so if No Man's gets unlocked and he can start coming up here, and Nanasik starts snowballing, you know, you have, like I said, that bot lane that feels pretty uninteractive. The Scion can ult down the lane up top and then TP back bot lane. Like, there's a lot of plays that they actually have available in their team comps to try and snowball against this GP. Yeah,
it feels like, given the texture of this draft, you are, as you said, playing through this Camille lane, right? Like, Senna is basically another support. Sion is just a frontliner. Sylas is all about affecting your side lanes, and the best one for him to try and play through if you can is top lane. And Nanasik's been really active in this early game, which is great to see. This Lee Sin looking pretty good early on, which is pretty common, right? These junglers have a ton of reps on that champion throughout their career. But it is nice to see Unicorns are off to a good start here, even though the solo lanes are still looking good. I mean, Perks is doing what he can to try and hold these waves and get a CS lead versus Nomads, you know, reopen up the lane kingdom for business, but Nomads is just playing back, playing with respect, knows he doesn't have to do much other than let Perks kind of dictate the wave early on.
Yeah, Perks has had a very good tournament. We've seen him set up ganks with Blabber, manipulate waves quite well, and exploit summoner advantages. Yesterday, when he had the Tryndamere pick, you know, they did a really good job of playing around that and snowballing him. I mean, everyone's memeing the not pressing R and the reaction cannons and all that stuff. All great moments, but it's worth noting, like, he actually had an incredible game in the early game to get himself ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Looked great on Sylas, looked great on Tryndamere, now looking good on LeBlanc. Perks is definitely demonstrating his versatility as a player, which has always been one of his biggest assets. Teaming up with Vulcan now, who's been a little bit later to get out of this lane, but is pretty reliable in his movement around the map. He has been consistently getting out of lane here for Cloud9. I think it's one of the reasons he and Sven like to play so aggressively at level 1 and 2. Blabber now actually kind of trading places with Vulcan, who's wrapped around the other side. They are really trying to bait No Man's in here.
Yeah, putting a lot of pressure in the mid lane. Might be able to get him now.
Here we go, but Ananasik off to the side, and he's going to show himself, and Ananasik's going to say, hey, get away. No Man's going to be protected there.
Yep, in the meantime, Sven had to back off on the bot lane. Had to be careful as the minion wave comes in. Vulcan should be able to get down there in time to stop a potential punish. And because they saw Ananasik in the mid lane, made it a lot less threatening for Sven there to know that he didn't need to worry about getting 3-man dove. But we'll have to see now that they have the pressure advantage after that failed C9 roam, if they're actually able to steal this Cloud Drake away.
Yeah, looks like they will get it here. Blabber in the area, but if busy doing the red. Looks like Unicorns of Love should be able to secure this. So despite all the solo lane pressure that Cloud9 were applying in the early stages of their lanes, it does feel like things are bouncing out a little bit. No Man's is 6, still has TP ready. Perkz has already used that TP relatively early on, and Nanasik actually maybe trying for a visit here in mid lane, but No Man's is playing with fire, getting himself nice and low. I mean, Kingsley can help you a lot, but you are really trying to bait Perkz into something here, so Nanasik's just going to come in and help you shove in the lane.
Yeah, not trying to actually pick a fight with Perkz there, just knowing that Perkz is relatively low mana, my team's on Cloud Drake, I want to get this reset off, so able to finish pushing that wave in with the help of Nanasik, like you said, and most of C9 accounted for, made it pretty safe. And a slower-paced game, I think. Both teams feeling the pressure of how important this game is. C9 wanting to avoid tiebreakers. As much as people are memeing, like, lose the game on purpose, then lose the tiebreaker for CS, then beat Hamwa so you get into Group C, you know? Like, I still think that would be extremely risky to do, and C9 seems like they are more focused on just qualifying for play-ins.
Yep,
or
makes
main
sense.
stage, excuse me.
Makes sense. You can also maintain the NA undefeated at Worlds, which is, you know, is good for how long
Gotta
it lasts.
ride that as long as we
Exactly.
can.
Doesn't last very long. Liber's turn not going to get started. Boss ready, level 7. Going to go in for it. And now C9 trying to fight back with Vulcan. A little too low. TP coming in. That's a very nice GP ulti. Fudge actually does take up Boss, but Santa's in. Gets the ulti down. Fudge finds the flash. Blabber does fall as well, so it's a 1-for-1 so far. But maybe going to be 2-for-1. Unicorns will love to secure the double. Perkz trying to make a massive play, but that is an overextension. Perkz dancing back around. That might be all right. Does have the W coming back up, but it's not there yet. Nanasik missing that Q and Perkz. He's just trying to run away. There's so much distance here between him and the incoming mini wave. Santa's going to get chained up. Perkz trying to dance around it, but he can't dance for any longer as Santa's finally secures that kill.
All right, Unicorns of Love making a play. I thought that was really over-aggressive by Boss to start out. Jumping into a GP like that a little bit ahead of the rest of your team scared me, but Vulcan did not have 6 yet to get his full lockdown sequence on top of the GP AoE. And then you saw the teleport coming in for Santas, one of those things that we're talking about that they have the advantage in. It allowed them to get extra men to that play. They win it pretty handily. They were low at the tail end of it, so it looks like they're going to have to sack the Rift Herald and just take the kills and be happy with that. But overall, you know, a really nice start to the game for Unicorns of Love. I feel like, I don't know if they've had a gold lead thus far in the tournament at 10 minutes. You know, it feels like a lot of the games just went south pretty quickly for them. Here's what I'm talking about. You know, like, I thought that was an overextension, but Vulcan was not able to have that much CC to lock them up in. And so even though it looks like they're pretty far ahead of the play, you see that teleport channeling for the GP, starts at 1-for-1, or excuse me, the Scion, and then once it completes, you have these extra men. Senna also roaming up, you know, getting the advantage on MF, who's, you know, you see Sven coming from mid lane trying to get involved there, but just a little bit too far behind, and the extra man helps them win this fight 3-for-1.
That's a really nice flash shot, and Nanasik actually on the initial incoming distortion. And Perkz, I mean, he is playing great. This is something that you can sometimes escape out of, but unfortunately Perkz just gets clipped. Really nice Q placement actually from Santas. Like, not a first-time Scion player.
No, clearly not. You see Unicorns of Love feeling good about this. Feeling really good about this. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge fight. Coming out of it. Unlucky. I was going to say that I liked what Perkz tried to do there in terms of getting on top of the Senna, trying to get the execute, just not able to actually get it. And then the fancy feat to avoid some of the CC. Did everything he could, but play was just too far gone at that point.
Yeah, I mean, do what you can, but Cloud9 have definitely shown that they're willing to make the plays, which is good. Like, I think there's always the argument of, like, do you want to see your teams be proactive, or do you want to see them be, like, super clean and consistent? And ideally you get both. But if you have to choose, I think I'm always on the side of, hey, I'd rather you, like, you know, especially early on in a tournament where maybe you feel like you out-skill your opponents a little more on average than you would say against whatever group you end up in if you do qualify for the main stage. I think Cloud9 have, like, definitely had some oopsies, like, apart from, like, obvious mechanical mistakes, which haven't even been that many. Like, they've taken fights that have not gone that well. They've definitely been pretty aggressive with how they're trying to close out games. And, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think, obviously, they've hit more than they've missed. Otherwise, they wouldn't be 3-0.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I think it's something where, in that instance, that maybe was a play you didn't want to go for.
Bad news for Aaron 031995. Cloud9's 4-0, not looking like the best start right now.
We'll see.
We'll see. Unicorns of Love.
It is still alive.
It's still alive. It's not dead. I mean, it's just a 500 gold lead right now for Unicorns at Love, and like you said, C9, they take a lot of fights. Some work out, some don't. But I feel like the gold lead ending up on No Man's is pretty frustrating for the LeBlanc, who's going to have to match him in the side lane 1v1, as well as the fact that the GP behind the Camille a little bit, does have more CS. Both lane setups, you see them actually in a situation where they swap them, so the GP's up against the Silas, but it looks like they want to get out of that.
Yeah, Vulcan also going to find an Nanasik here. Nanasik, they're going to get out, so good coverage there. Make sure Perks is okay. Camille is very good at setting up for Lee Sin, obviously. It's pretty easy. You just walk up and click R. Blabber, they're also roaming around. Still has that Rift Trail that they took. That was one of the things they got out of the exchange in top lane that happened. But we'll see where Blabber can drop the Herald, because that'll pretty easily shrink this gold lead to half or even maybe back to even, depending on how many plates, how much damage you can get done with it.
Kraken Slayer complete for Sven.
Nice.
Like it in this game. We always talk about, what are you hitting? What's the most likely thing that you're doing with your damage? Yes, you'll be dropping your ultimate, but you're also probably going to be slapping a Scion. So want a little bit higher DPS build, like it here. Unicorns of Love, they have a pretty good 1-3-1 setup. I think C9 with the MF and GP clearly have a better 5v5 team fight, but if you get ahead on your solo lanes and you can kind of control the pace of the game, there's no reason you have to be fighting fair and honest 5v5s, especially with, we already talked about Santos having that global TP. You can actually, I wonder, Scion 1-3-1 mid lane sounds kind of funny to me. I just am used to seeing him in a side lane, but maybe you can ult down river or make some tricky plays. So I'm really excited to see where they go from here, having a slight advantage in the game once these maps start opening up. How Unicorns of Love exactly execute on this team comp, because the solo lanes make sense to me. Exactly what Argonaut and Santos do, other than shove in mid and roam, which is fine. Yep. That's 100% a good thing to do in a 1-3-1.
All right, we'll see what happens, but nice collapse here for Cloud9. Looking for No Man's. Good ult to steal, actually. Grabs the Xin ult. Blabber now going to go in for it. TP coming through. Counter TP though. Center ulti's nice also. The shutdown lands in for Vulcan. Now Fudge trying to fight out boss here. His Perks is also in, but Scion, he's made his way up so speedily. Just zooms up there, and now Blabber is going to get absolutely deleted by the Camille as boss finds the ulti and the kill. Fudge's low Sven is here, but I don't know if they've got anything under this tower. Fudge is not that healthy. Vulcan already used all his tools to engage. Cloud9 maybe going to go for it here, but have to back away. I mean, help is coming. Cloud9 going to disengage.
Yeah, Argonaut was making his way up there. He had a nice Senna ult to initially get a shield on top of No Man's. It didn't seem to do too much to save him, but the TPs came through. Some really nice drifting by Santos getting through the jungle. I want to see exactly where did he start ulting? Did he ult from mid and weave it all the way through that river path that's behind the wall? I mean, you can do that, but I'm really curious where he started the ult from. I mean, he got there fast to protect the TP, because when I saw that TP coming in, I was like, oh my god, this is so bad. It's going to be a 1v4 for boss. But then because Santos got up there with his ultimate, they were able to turn that fight around.
Even more impressive, because we have 2 dragons taken, and it's a mountain rip. So there's extra stuff in the way potentially, right? Whereas if it's Infernal, it's even more open as Fudge fighting a Nanasik, but Blabber did drop the Herald in mid. It will make it here to take the plates. That's really nice for Perks to get a bit of extra gold. Yeah. So not wasted there for Blabber, as Perks does chunk down No Man's, but again, UOL are in to try and save their mid laner, who is getting bullet time, but No Man's going to have to flash. And Nanasik finds the kick on his Sven. Zen flashes back in. The root lands though out of center, and Boss is able to take that kill.
Nice job there by Nanasik, punishing Sven, who, thought he had this easy setup onto No Man's. No Man's flashes out, able to get out of there. Baits Sven into dropping his ultimate in front of a Lee Sin, and you flash out, but the rest of Unicorns of Love was in there to punish him afterwards.
Yeah, it's funny, there's not the obvious MF stuff here as we have the X-Fact replay. This was the top lane play you were talking about, Mark. Okay,
so here's what I'm looking. I'm looking at Scion in the mid lane right here. I don't care what's on my screen at all. Look at the mini-map in your bottom right-hand corner. He starts ulting. He ults from mid lane all the way up through here. Look at him weave it around to the left, then back to the right. He misses Perks here, but look how close he was. That's a nuts Scion ultimate, and it saves boss, I think, who would have been trapped under that turf. If he hit any wall, he shows up 10 seconds later, that's a dead boss. Because they killed No Man so quickly, I thought it was going to be 1v4, and it saves this play, potentially double kill. It would have been a lot more turret plates. That's a massive Scion ult, even though it didn't hit. That's the greatest Scion ult miss I've ever seen.
Yeah, really nice. And now, topside is going to happen again here. The center ulti's out. That's a big shield, but it's not enough to save No Man's. Blabber pops the ulti, flashes out of the way. Perks, Vulcan pops flash as well, but Nanasik finds the trade. Nice and easy. Santa's here again, and Perks is just getting kind of hit on. I mean, Santos is smacking him away. Can't really do anything as LeBlanc against these tanky champions. Sven's up there, but he's just too late.
Blabber looked like a bug on a windshield. He just got smacked by the ultimate of Santos there. This guy just cruising around in his Silent Mobile. Splat. Nice punish there. Ends up only being a 1-for-1. Blabber and No Man's both dropping. But right now, this is a really fun game. Both teams going blow for blow. Unicorns love eking out leads slowly over the course of them. You know, you get this Rift Herald push in mid lane, you get some nice turret plays, but they get a kill back. You get a kill on the top side. Unicorns love get the kill back. Now they're going to grab their own Rift Herald. And the gold lead is slowly growing for Unicorns of Love. We'll have to see if they can find this back-breaking play, because I'm still a little worried at the C9 5v5 potential. It does feel good that Unicorns of Love is getting a snowball a little bit with the Dragons. They got them pretty early on. The next one coming up in just a minute and a half, so you can potentially have 3 pre-20 minutes.
We're going to get the first tower as well. This Herald going to be enough to grab that advantage. So this gold lead going to spike up. We'll see what it is after this hit happens, but looks like, yeah, not quite 2K, but getting close. 3v2 right now, though. Another sick about to face check. Blabber looking for the kill. Perks are the one to claim it.
That is justice for Blabber. Even the GPL getting dropped on top 8. 4v1 basically. Anonisic there, who's been having a really good game. Feels good to probably get that shutdown on him.
Yeah, 1-1 and 5 down. Didn't get all the kills, which is good. He's been donating them to No Man and Boss. We talked about, you know, in the early stages of this game, Boss is kind of the obvious conduit to play through here for Unicorns of Love. Definitely enabled right now. Sunder a finish, plenty of kills under his belt. No Man's also feeling empowered on the Silas, level 11 now, has his items under him, can start maybe side laning or grouping, depending on how Unicorns of Love want to distribute their resources around the map. And sure, right now, Boss is getting overloaded, so can't really get too aggressive. But if the Unicorns' plan is to play 1-3-1 or even a 4-1 with this Camille, they're really set up with this, even with this gold advantage not being that big. They're under 1,000 now, actually. There's still, like, you've gotten the gold you need to execute that plan if that's what you're trying to do here. And like I said, I'm starting to wonder, like, I don't know what Cloud9 does, because Santos is everywhere. This is like...
It's pretty crazy.
Priority mail Scion. He's just shipped overnight everywhere.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with this so far. I mean, even Argonaut's Senna. There's so many times you watch a Senna ult come flying in as someone dies. The shield's too late. They don't land the damage part, and it just looks pretty troll. He's been on point. Even if they haven't saved the person, he's at least showing that he's landing them in time. That's why he has 100% kill participation. He's doing a good job on the Senna. And they're showing the global utility that she's able to bring when you're in these 1-3-1 lane setups, even when C9's the one making plays.
Stolen Gangplank ulti. Bog with my brain for a second. But
yeah, it looked a little troll.
But still, the trades continue to go in Unicorns of Love's favor. They're 3-1 now in towers. They got the third dragon. That's massive. Cloud9 actually wanted to take a tower top lane, try and open up the map. Took the easy one, but lost the Drake as a result. Perhaps weren't interested in contesting for it anyway, but now they're down 3 dragons and 1,500 gold as Vulcan face checks, and he's just dead here. Looking for an engage, but not one he wanted. Anonisic gonna claim the kill.
Deep in the enemy jungle.
Blabber baited over with the blast gun. The ball time is there. Senna ulti to try and disengage it, but Blabber's got to run. There's nothing here. It's 5v4. Cloud9 are going to be routed by Unicorns of Love. No Man's flashed in. He does get himself killed, but I think the follow-up is well worth it. 2 more now on the table for Unicorns of Love as perks will fall.
Nicely done by Unicorns of Love, deep in the enemy jungle, finding the initial pickoff on the Rel. We talk about C9's 5v5, but that's kind of critical, the fact that you need it to be Rel starting the fight. You want to suck everyone in together, land all this AoE. If you kill her early on in the fight, C9's team comp kind of becomes disjointed. You know, GP, how does he lock people down for his ultimate? Who's going to be going in with Blabber? Perks doesn't, you know, he just wants to be picking off low priority targets. And so that kill allowed it to become a really scrappy fight. And then Unicorns of Love kept finding these kills and outplaying C9 there.
And now up 3,000 gold alongside those 3 turrets and 3 dragons. Like,
looking good.
It is looking really good for Unicorns Love as we watch this one again. Yeah. No Man's just deep in enemy territory.
Yeah, you're just not ready this early on in the game to be having to worry about face checking that particular brush. And now once he's dead, you know, C9 want to punish. They see Boss on the top side. They're like, okay, this is still a 4v4. Hold on, don't have time to talk about that.
Yeah, again, No Man's is getting targeted. C9 is trying to 3v1 any lane they can find and give themselves some gold. It's actually a 5v1 as No Man steals the LeBlanc Distortion, but that's not going to be enough. Does go back, it looks cute, but who's going to grab the kill? Who gets the donation? No Man's. It's going to be Fudge who collects.
Yeah, Fudge probably needs a little bit of help in the side lane. Good recipient. But, of course, if you 5-mana Silas and take that long to kill him, you are going to be losing stuff elsewhere on the map. Argonaut here, able to get a lot of turret damage down. Maybe not be able to finish it off, but weakening it to be able to claim it later on in the game. And during that time as well, Boss working down the bot lane.
And again, I mean, Cloud9 doing what they can, but it's just treading water almost, right? Getting what gold you can, trying to maybe believe in the scaling in the 5v5 that you've drafted for yourself here. You know, it's one thing to find a great 5v5, it's another to find that same 5v5 down, you know, 5,000-6,000 gold. At some point, it starts not to matter how good your engage is if the enemy just has more gold than you can handle. So Cloud9 do need to keep making some sort of trade and giving gold to their players in ways other than farm, because Unicorns of Love are not playing a game slow enough where they can just sit back and relax.
No, Unicorns of Love is being super aggressive right now, always looking for opportunities to find people in the jungle or just trying to counter out C9's plays, and they're smart when they pick that battle. You know, No Man's there getting 1v4'd. No one was like, maybe I can help him out, really. Like, they were just like, okay, let him die. No Man, stay alive as long as you can. And they actually did a good job picking their battles in that sense and not just always insta-collapsing. It's something people get baited into that. Like, if they have the Shen, for example, as a champion that can join in fights, it's like, well, I don't think you actually want to just blow your ult defensively in a fight you're going to lose anyways.
Oh, boss, this looks real rough for Perks. Just easy solo kill as Senna picks up yet another assist.
This is what we're talking about. If you fall behind, it's 1-3-1 time for Unicorns of Love, and you just have a really tough time in all these lane setups. And the global ability, Argonaut did not need to help out there, but, you know, he'll grab another assist if he can. Did fall off the 100% kill participation, unfortunately, but otherwise having a fantastic game. And this is his second Senna game he's ever played on his pro career. Santos' first Sion game. Not something I would have ever expected. I don't think anyone would have had this prep ready. Maybe Santos is a solo queue Sion beast that I don't know about. You know, I admit maybe that's true, but just I've been so impressed with their bot lane this game.
Oh, for sure. As Boss again has to weasel out of a 4v1. They continue to find pickoffs, which is good. Boss a little too far forward, perhaps, and the kill will go over to Sven, who grabs the shutdown. That is a lot of extra gold to Misfortune.
That is a tough one to give up. I think so far, Unicorns of Love in their 1-3-1 has done a good job of having pressure elsewhere on the map. Even if you're dying, like we saw in No Man's, you know, it's usually a situation where it's like, well, we're getting something else. Here, the rest of his team was kind of resetting. There hadn't been time for the Silos to push out top yet. So it's a really painful death to lose on your pretty fed Camille while giving C9 an opportunity to get pressure, because if you had mid lane pushed, even if you die there, they don't get mid turret as well. Now, not only are you giving up a kill, which is what they had only lost before, you're losing objectives on the tail end of it too, as well as map control right as Mountain Dragon spawning. That was a disastrous death. You know, we'll have to see if Unicorns of Love can stabilize and still get into the river here.
Vulcan looking for the angle. Cloud9 want to fight by the looks of things. Bots is back up, but he doesn't have TP. So can't make it in just yet, but won't be too far away. Perk's going to lock up the Sion, but that's going to take way too long. And Cloud9 now going to fall back and start the Dragon, but they have to finish this very quickly.
Yeah, looking probably for a burn situation here, but Unicorns of Love is more or less in the area. Have to see if they can get a good kill.
It's 50, another 6 in there. They're just going to fight for the Dragon. Who's going to grab the soul? It is Blevin that gets the smite, but what does the fight look like at the end of it all? Full time over the top is that on top of the GP ulti. Cloud9 team fighting their way out of the Dragon pit as Perks is able to take down Sets as Fudge now trying to turn tail and run because they've already lost 2 on the other side. It's Unicorns of Love. The wallet just too powerful. Fudge now going to get locked up and killed. A nice stun there for Vulcan is only going to delay the inevitable. And they got the Dragon, but they still lost the fight 3 for 2.
Unicorns of Love able to get a couple of kills. Losing the Dragon feels bad though. It delays this kind of timer that they were putting on Cloud9. If they were able to grab that Mountain Soul, get the extra shielding, would have made it almost impossible to win those 1v1s that keep breaking out in the side lanes. Still well done. I mean, Anonasek was in the pit. They were able to get in there. Really close fight, but still 3 for 2. You still feel okay. Have pressure afterwards to get these waves pushing in your favor.
Yeah, still the gold leads at least being like floated by C9, but still 3,000 ahead for Unicorns of Love, so not falling further behind as we'll watch this one again.
So this was really well done by Nomance. He's going to lock up Rel to stop her from being able to get in the pit. Right there, that pullback. When she tried to hop the wall, it stopped them from comboing Anonasek and Boss in the pit. I mean, it's still a decent ult by Sven there, but without his Rel peeling, you know, he's pinned up against the wall there. He just gets obliterated.
Here comes Sanchez. Vulcan, very nice stopwatch. What's going to happen on the other end though? TP in Cloud9. Joining for everybody here, but now they've kind of committed themselves to the fight. Fudge in the middle of everyone as Unicorns of Love are looking to make the play. GP ulti stolen there for Silas. Looks so good for Unicorns of Love. Fudge already dead. Blavalo, Camille charging into the front lines. A nice stun there for Vulcan, but they still can't get the kills. The Nanasik is going to try and assassinate Sven. He does get it done, and Unicorns of Love just so aggressive, winning every single portion of the fight. Down the towers they go. They dive Cloud9 and smash them in that fight.
4-4-0 for Unicorns Love. They're TPing back in, 30-second death timers. I wonder if they're looking at the thing and end the game here. Maybe they're just grabbing Inhibitor and backing off the Baron. We'll have to see exactly how aggressive they want to get here, but they're looking pretty healthy. You have Senna to try and top people off.
Remember, this is for UOL's tournament life. If they don't win here, they cannot go any further in the play-in. So they're going to try and make the play. Plava, he's trying to pull the wave. He's stopwatch. He's doing everything he can, but the ace finally comes through. Fudge is back alive. Rails up in 2 seconds, but Unicorns of Love, I think they've got it done. They do indeed have the Nexus in their sides. Cloud9 trying to defend as best they can, but they cannot do it. Unicorns of Love are keeping themselves at Worlds.
Unicorns of Love, baby! Last minute, their backs are against the wall. They go for a creative draft. They end up in a 1-3-1 with this incredible bot lane, and they destroy Cloud9. That was, what, a 26-minute game? Obliteration by them. They had such a good performance there, and like you said, keep their dreams alive. This means they are playing later on today to potentially stay in the play-in stage and then have an opportunity at the main stage.
And with that, we do get more League of Legends.
Let's
we are
go.
now guaranteed 2 tiebreakers. So now our day mark is as long as it was yesterday. It's just 4 games.
Chaos reigns. I love it. And if you're a Cloud9 fan, you're disappointed. Stumble at the last minute. You know, it just feels like it can never come too easy. Couldn't have been a 4-0. And for it's scary. You know, this is a DFM that, yes, they beat earlier on in the tournament, but that was a terrifying DFM we saw earlier today and we saw yesterday. So this is not a lock for them at all. They're going to have to go back, take a look at what went wrong this game, and get ready for surging DFM.
Yeah, coming into this group, everyone kind of felt like, yeah, this group's going to be really close. And I think we're finally getting an idea of why.